Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Vaishnav Jai Shri Krishna. Today is day 104 of the readings of these stories of the 252 Vaishnava disciples of Sri Gosaiji. Continuing with the story of Gopinath Das, and it is Varta 79. Then he went off towards Puchani. Hearing this, Sri Gosaiji jumped up, bathed, and went into the temple. He straightway prepared sweet yogurt with rice, fruit with syrup, and other cooling foodstuffs, put them in a pot, tied this onto some cloth, and placed the bundle on his head, set off towards Puchani. The path was extremely hot, and Sri Gosaiji's feet came out in blisters since he was walking barefoot. He had no servants with him, and he was walking alone. At that very time, Gopinath Das was coming back from Puchani. He had a boy with him. The boy said to Gopinath Das, "Who on earth is coming here at this time walking barefoot?" Sri Gosaiji, Gopinath said, Is it not Sri Vitanaji, Sri Gosaiji himself?" The boy confirmed that this is who it was. Gopinath Das approached Sri Gosaiji and said, "Oh Maharaj, where are you going walking barefoot in such terrible heat?" Sri Gosaiji said, "Please tell me where Srinathji is at the moment. He is hungry, so I am taking him a picnic lunch." Gopinath Das replied, "Oh Maharaj, who told you this and made you come out here at this time and got blisters on your feet? Is it really necessary for you to come out in such heat? Tell me their name and I will reprimand them right away. They should not tell you such tales in the future. Please go back home now." Gopinath Das spoke like this to Sri Gosaiji, who just stood there and listened and gave no answer. He was very troubled by the heat. Gopinath Das relented. "When you have come this far, so you should go on." Gopinath Das gave the boy, who was in with him, to Sri Gosaiji and instructed him, "Go with him. You can go with him as far as that next grove of trees. From there at a distance, you will be able to see Shamdak. When Shamdak is visible, point out the way to Sri Gosaiji, but you must then come back here. I will beat you if you go any further." Gopinath Das stayed standing there, and the boy went off with Sri Gosaiji. Soon he could spot Shamdak at a distance, and so the boy turned round and came back. Sri Gosaiji continued onwards. When he approached the place, he saw that Srinathji was sitting in the shade of those trees. The cowherd cows were all grazing at a distance, and the cowherd boys were all standing there. The shade of the trees was very cool. Srinathji was very happy to see Sri Gosaiji approaching from a distance. He said, "How nice it is that you have come. I am feeling very hungry." Srinathji told Sri Gosaiji to sit down, and he did. He asked his brother Balaram to pass him over the bhog, and he partook of it happily. Whatever he left over, he gave out to all the cowherd boys. He then told Balaram to also sit down. Srinathji again expressed his pleasure that Sri Gosaiji had come there. "Today I am very hungry," he said. He got up and then told Sri Gosaiji to return to his temple in Jatipura. Sri Gosaiji first came to Apsarakund. He bathed there into Aparas and then went back to the temple on Sri Giriraji. It was time to blow the conch to start the services, and he did just that. Bhav Prakash. A question arises here as to why, if Srinathji was hungry, did he not simply partake of the snacks left there close to him for that very purpose, for between service times? Why did he not tell Sri Gosaiji directly, and why did he give Sri Gosaiji so much trouble? Here the answer given is that they are actually one and the same. If Sri Gosaiji was troubled, then so was the Lord. Srinathji simply had the wish to eat cooling preparations in Shamdak, and that was not what was in the snack boxes. Srinathji sent his command through Gopal Das because it was such a special command that brought special grace. From time to time, Srinathji would give such special commands to Ram Dasji and other temple servants. Sri Gosaiji knew this, and so followed the command to the letter. Sri Gosaiji may be the Lord, but he also appeared here to teach the mood of humble servitude, especially to his very own and close associates. By doing this, Sri Gosaiji reveals his total non-attachment to anything other than his service to Sri Thakurji. This is the way of the path of grace. If there is a special command that comes through someone's agency, then one should know this to be the Lord's great grace. So he sent the command through another. Thus concludes Varta 79, the story of Gopinath Gwal, who was the recipient of great grace from Srinathji and Sri Gosaiji, and who was an accomplished Vaishnava. There is no real end to the tale. Varta 80, the story of two Kunabi Patels from Gujarat. Bhav Prakash. These two are Sattvic devotees. Excuse me. In the eternal Leela, their names are Pratima and Manoharini. They manifest from Ratna and are thus forms of her divine loving sentiment. Part 1. These two came to Gokul from Gujarat and became Sri Gosaiji's disciples. On his orders, they began to serve Srinathji. One day they thought, we are serving Srinathji, but because we have no means of our own, we cannot make our own offerings to him. Thinking in this way, they left their seva and went off to a village a ways away, where one man was having a water reservoir dug out. They asked for jobs digging and were allowed to stay there and work. They took their tulsi malas from around their necks and tied them into their turbans. The turbans they kept on their heads, but they washed off their forehead marks and carried on as labourers. Bhav Prakash, this story tells us to conceal our Vaishnav status if working as a labourer. Part 1 continued. The workers, supervisors and project manager were all pleased with the work of these two kunabis, since they did 4 times as much as anyone else. When the supervisor gave out cooked snacks to all the workers, these two took uncooked grains instead. The ones who gave out such food incentives gave them twice as much as to anyone else. In the evenings they returned to their place. They would put the supplies in one place and select a clean and unused pot. One of them would tie a cloth round his waist, put on his tulsi malas, bathe into aparas and do the cooking. The other one did all the other seva. First he would also bathe and put on his kantis and forehead mark, and then sit and repeat the name of the Lord. Then he would complete all the other necessary jobs. When the cooking and the offerings were all finished, the two would partake of Mahaprasad. They would fulfill all their other seva duties and then take rest. They did this daily. One day the supervisor, who was also a Vaishnava, noticed their tulsi malas and their forehead marks because they had forgotten to wipe them off. He thought, these two work very hard. Their wages are meagre. It would be nice if they got extra payment. The next day he approached them and said, it is so nice. I have realized who you are. You are Vaishnavas, disciples of Sri Gosaiji. You had not revealed that you were Vaishnavas up till now. The two kunabis said nothing when they heard this. But they thought to themselves, now that they know we are Vaishnavas, we should leave this place. We should not stay here any longer. This is where we'll take rest today from the tale of the two kunabis, and we will continue tomorrow. Jai Shri Radhe, Sab Vaishnavan ko Jai Shri Krishna. Aaj ke Anand ki Jai ho, Shri Gosaiji ki Jai ho. Jai Jai Shri Radhe.